Good morning. For the record, I'm Chris Young, Chair of the HDC Sign Advisory Committee. Let's confirm access. Members respond with an aye. Kevin Kuster.
Aye.
Ben Norman.
Aye.
Paul Wolf.
Aye.
And we have Adrian Rodriguez for staff.
Present.
So this open meeting of the HDC's SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. This order, posted with the agenda materials for the meeting, allows public bodies to convene remotely so long as public access to deliberations is reasonably provided. This meeting is convening via Zoom with video and audio recordings available on the town's YouTube channel. We will feature public comment. Materials provided to the members for the meeting or during the meeting will be available on the town's website. During the meeting, I'll introduce agenda topics and speakers. Please remember to mute your Zoom audio until your name is called, and direct comments and questions through the chair to avoid crosstalk and the taking of minutes easier. Votes will be conducted by roll call. So let's call the meeting to order at 9:02 on July 11th, 2023. And do we have a motion to adopt our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
Kevin
Aye.
and Paul?
Aye.
Thank you. And minutes, don't believe we received minutes from last meeting. Is that correct? Does anybody recall seeing those?
I do not.
I do not either. So I think that we're going to skip that agenda item for the moment. We'll table it. Is anybody on the call for public comments not related to a specific issue?
I am.
See nobody. Is any? Oh, thank you. Hi, Lynn.
Hi. So originally I was on the agenda and now I'm not for the Bluff Walk signage.
That's interesting. Actually, you're in our view pack.
Right. I'm in the view pack, but I'm not on the agenda. So I just wanted to ask if something changed or originally I was before.
I believe you might be the first item.
Okay. It's Town of Nantucket.
I think you're listed under
Yes,
Town of Nantucket,
sorry.
67 Baxter Road post signs.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just reading
problem.
the left-hand side. I apologize.
Okay, we'll get to you in just a moment. Commissioner comments. Seeing none. Now let's move on to new business. Lynn Filipski.
Right.
We
Now
have
back.
Wisconsin Bluff Walk.
Yes.
So we've spoken to you before.
Yes.
I guess tell us what's new or anything that has changed.
Since the signage was done about over 10 years ago by the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee, after having a subcommittee that looked at the history of the bluff as well as the use of the bluff, things have changed dramatically since COVID with the amount of people that now walk the bluff. So we're up to 700 people a day on an easy day, and sometimes in very large groups. So the signage right now that exists at the south end and the north end of the map, you can see the X, that's the north boundary, which is truncated. We used to be able to walk farther, but coastal erosion is evident from there up, and in parts below it, you'll see a very narrow path. I think a lot of people, you have probably all walked it at some point. So the signage needs to be more specific in terms of time of access, as well as rules of civility, because the balance between the rights of the privacy of the homeowner and the legal rights of an individual to walk the path are a little out of skew these days. So here's, and this is my printer, I'm sorry, it looks like some ink isn't producing well. These are signs. All we're doing, we're not changing the height, the width, the length. It's simply the verbiage on it, so that you, instead of reading a long piece on the history, which we still include, but we've added issues about coastal erosion, and we're adding information that's just in bigger type on things like keep your voices low, mute your cell phone, no running or wheeled vehicles, dogs on a leash, the path is uneven, proceed at your own risk. Watch out for poison ivy and ticks, and stay on the path and leave it only designated exit points. We're seeing just violations on every single one of those rules. So we have asked the bike safety officers to monitor the north and south end of the path, but the sign itself needs bigger type with bigger rules. And it's a huge problem. We discussed it last night at the Civic Association member meeting. Libby Gibson was there, Jeff Carlson was there. So everyone is well aware. I've talked to the Chamber of Commerce about no videos of the path. We don't need any commercial public relations work. So everybody knows the path is there because every travel magazine has a story on it. So we're trying to measure how to make it available, but not intrusive to the point of it. There will be people who move off Baxter Road because of it. And there are 40 properties that abut the footpath. Most of Baxter Road from 5 to 73 Baxter, and then a house on Nosegay, a house on Broadway, and 3 houses on Shell Street. So it definitely is a major part of the eastern side of the island. And we are recommending, with the support of the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee, that we change the signage to reflect better rules in clearer language.
Okay, thank you. And this image that we're looking at now, is this the existing signage or is this your
Yes,
proposed new signage?
that's the existing in the packet. If you keep going,
Yeah,
that's the north boundary. That is the sign. So when you blow it up to the size that it should be, it's easy to read. And we also discussed maybe making a QR code so that the history can be in the QR code, but the rules are what is the most essential with the map.
okay, I think that's very successful for a lot of people. It also lets you update what that QR code is, linking you to on a regular basis.
Right.
So, okay, let me go around the board and get everybody's feedback. We'll go Paul, Kevin, and Ben. I'm just checking to see. We do not have Mark in yet. So yeah, we'll go Paul, Kevin, Ben. Paul?
Hi. Just a quick question. Are there only 2 signs?
Yes, there are only 2 signs.
Okay, and the new ones are no bigger than the old ones?
Yes, no bigger.
Okay, I really don't have any questions.
Thanks. Kevin?
I think it's unfortunate that we have to do this, but then again, I think we're probably getting to the point where we're going to have to put signs at every entrance point to the island, because I think there's misbehavior everywhere. Anyway, I think the only thing I would suggest is we maybe just go to a natural wood frame around it instead of the blue. I think it would probably blend in a little more. I think that's my only comment. Thanks.
Thanks. Ben?
Yeah, I have no problem updating these signs to meet the needs of the homeowners or the association or whoever it is. And I hate to be nitpicky, but the sign sort of reads like a Word document a little bit rather than like the existing sign. I don't really care, but it could be, yeah, like the existing one's a little bit more biting or something. The new one just kind of reads like it just came out of my printer. So I don't know if there's some way to kind of like make it more, see how that one's like centered, you know, everything is centered down the middle and the other one reads more like a book cover or something. I don't know. Just, it doesn't matter to me really, but just a suggestion if there's some way to make that a little bit more signy rather than brochure-y.
Yes,
Comment that.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the comments. I think it's important to update the message, and the QR code. I would suggest, you know, maybe to Ben's point, if you don't have all of the text there about the history, a QR code, everybody's familiar with it, and anybody that wants to know the history it's easy to pull it up on your phone. That might help keep the sign and the messaging be a little more readable and actually get people to stop and pay attention. But I think in general, it's fine to update. Do we have a motion?
I would motion to approve as submitted.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Bill Greeter from Rosen Right of Ways.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Not bad for an old
Thanks for
guy.
stepping
Thanks for
in.
asking.
Always late.
So I just wanted to mention that Rosen Right of Ways is considered this proposal. We have come to the conclusion that you know, beside the signage issue, there's obviously an enforcement issue because some of these items are going to be extremely difficult to enforce. But at least the signage is there. We all know from even walking around town, you know, we have a leash law, people ignore it. Running, people ignore it. However, it doesn't mean we can't put the signage up to try to educate folks before they go there. And so the enforcement thing is something that's going to have to be addressed by the town and the association going forward. In respect to the comment just made about the Word doc, I think from our point of view, the history part needs to stay on there because that was the original process when it was bequeathed to the town and whatever. I might suggest that flipping the two items, that the description of stuff might work with a smaller font at the bottom of the sign, which would allow the real reason to have the signs there, which is the actions that you'd hope people would follow. That would allow that, I would think, to be larger and more focused. Those that would stop to read it could then look at the history if they cared to, and then the QR code, obviously. But I think it's important to have a description of what the heck it is that people are walking on to begin with. So that's our 2 cents. And thank you for taking my comments.
Thank you, Bill. I should ask, is there anybody else here for comment on this application? Okay. So we have a motion to approve, and I think if you wanted to flip the layout, that would be certainly acceptable. So the motion, was that Ben, that you motioned for approval?
Yep, that's
All right.
it.
Second,
Okay, thank you. Kevin, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Paul
aye.
and Ben?
Aye.
Okay, I am as well. So thank you, Lynn and Bill.
I just
And good
have
luck.
one question. You don't need to see the final version then when we flip, or do you want to see
If
that?
you would, it would be appreciated if we could update
Okay.
the file just so that it's on record, so that, you know.
Okay, and
in
I'm
the future.
happy to make it natural and with no blue, Hamilton blue border.
Thank you. That's appreciated as well.
Okay, great. Thank you
So-
so much.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks. We have 29 Center Street LLC for 16.5 Federal Street.
Would you mind closing
Anybody-
this door?
Is anybody on the line for that application? Okay. This is a temporary sign located where the Peter Beaton hat sign used to be, which was in a planter at the entrance to the alleyway that led back to that store, which I believe was approved years ago when they were in business. So this is a 3-day application, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, for the 29th through the 2nd, so maybe 5 days. Would you scroll down a little further? There's a picture of the, there we go, there's the location. And so let's open this up to comments. We'll go Ben, Kevin, Paul.
I guess I have no concern. It's a weird one. I feel like I should have a concern, but I don't think I do. I'm okay.
Okay, all right. Paul, or Kevin, excuse me. Kevin?
I have less of an issue with this being temporary. I'm not in favor of it being a full-time sign. I think it's a freestanding sign stuck on the sidewalk, the exact thing that we're trying to limit. And there's more than likely plenty of room to put this on the building. However, with that said, I'm okay with the stipulation that it's temporary.
Okay. It's possible, if you don't recall, and I don't disagree with you about the freestanding sign issue. I remember this came before us because of how just difficult a spot it was. It's actually, there's an arbor and you go down a brick walkway and the building's actually behind all of the other buildings on the street. Yeah, or that you go down that wood path. So the actual location of the business is not visible from anywhere. But in any event, this is a temporary sign application. It won't be precedent for permanent signage. So Paul?
Yeah, it's not clear to me what we're approving. I see the oval sign with an arrow on it. Is that the sign we're approving, and what's holding it up?
I believe they're going to use the planter. It says with a stake, so it is that oval sign with the
Okay. Okay.
with,
So we have the dates of the temporariness.
we do. It says the 29th of August through the 2nd of September.
Okay. And it has to come down on that last day. I mean, it can't hang around there for a week. That's my concern.
Right. Essentially, it's Labor Day weekend, I think, is what they're doing.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm not excited about it, but I don't have any other comments.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a not excited motion? Or
A motion
is there
to approve
anybody
as
before?
submitted.
Okay,
I'll second it.
thank you, Kevin.
Aye.
All right, Paul
Aye.
and Ben.
Aye.
All right, thanks. So the next application is being represented by David Bernard. I think I see him on the call.
I'm here.
And would you like, you have two applications here. So we've got the lamppost signs on Main Street and the Boys and Girls Club temporary sign. Why don't you just introduce us to what you're doing here?
Well, we have applied for the lamppost signs because we're able to do that every 5 years. And we are doing this in conjunction with the Boys and Girls Club, as you can see on the banner, because that's where the antique show is held. And we think the two work very well together to advertise not only the show, but also the Boys and Girls Club. So they were very excited about the idea of having it on Main Street. So that's what we're doing. We have the sign, the banner size is within the limit that you specify. And the dates are for 1 week, which would be from Monday, the first, what is the date? I don't have my calendar in front of me. It'd be Monday, I think it's the 1st of August until the following Sunday for 7 days.
Okay, so, and these are, like you say, they're the third, okay, the size that's mandated by
size
the, by the sign guideline.
Yeah, and it's vinyl covered canvas, which is also prescribed by the
Yeah.
sign book.
Okay, and how many of them are you proposing?
Well, I don't know. I've not seen anywhere where they say the number that you can have. I think when we did it before, it was 5 or 6. But again, I haven't seen anything in the sign book and any other place on the town website that specifies how many there can be.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. Obviously limited by the number of signposts available, but
Well, also, it's going to be
let's-
limited by the amount that's going to cost us to do this, because we have to buy
Sure.
the brackets to put them up, which are expensive, and the banners themselves. So we're not going to be doing 10 or 12 lampposts, I don't think. I think last time we did this, which was 5 years ago, was about 5 or 6 max. But it's
okay.
interesting to me that they don't say that anywhere in the sign book or in this other area that they have that prescribed. They don't say where on Main Street as well, but as I recall, it was within a specific area from the main block, which I'm not sure what the street boundaries are. The bank is at one end, and the flower in the flower pot in the middle of the street is the other end. I think that's what it was. But again, you'll have to tell me what it is, because I don't know. I mean, that's where we
Okay.
would like. We're not going to be decorating the whole street with them.
Well, thanks for pointing that out. That regulation was developed probably about 10 years ago to allow for
Yeah.
these special events. And so maybe we do need to take a closer look at identifying locations and quantities. But let me go around the board here. We'll go Kevin, Ben, Paul. Kevin?
Yeah, I have a question as to whether or not this has been approved by the select board. I think that is required. I also recall that this type of banner was allowed on Main Street for a special occasion event. I don't recall that there was ever any automatic re-up every 5 years for any kind of an event. With that said, I don't think that this reflects any special celebration other than an event, and I would be opposed to seeing this kind of activity on Main Street. Thank you.
Okay. Ben?
Yeah, I think I agree with Kevin. I'm not sure that I don't know this this doesn't seem familiar to me, seeing these banners for events on Main Street. I walk down Main Street twice a day, essentially. So yeah, I think I need more guidance on what is allowed by the town, but if it is, I think we would need a much simpler sign. Definitely no graphics of images of the work itself, more just information. But I need more information on what is allowed and where.
I'm looking that up for everybody right now, just so that we
Okay.
can refer to the sign book. But while I do, Paul, do you have any thoughts?
I think the previous comments are good. Obviously, there's some confusion over what was previously approved for these types of signs. So I think we need to get some clarification on it. Other than that, I don't have a problem, but I'd like to postpone until the next meeting until we get some clarification on what David's referring to and what our book refers to for guidance.
Well, I think one problem, if they're looking for August 1st,
Hmm.
we might be up against a time constraint, which is unfortunate. But let me read what the special event banners mounted on town light poles are permitted by special permit and require Board of Selectmen approval. And that is, interestingly, all it says under the banners of temporary signage. Let me look in the appendix and see if there's more about that.
Do we have
David, since
selectmen
you-
approval? Mr. Chairman, do we have select board approval?
That's a question for David.
Well, I don't know whether, what do you mean by select board approval?
They
So that's
approve
one
it
of
to
the-
go up.
Right,
I'm
one of the
sorry.
requirements is beyond our approval. The select board has to make the approval as well.
Before we come to you?
Not necessarily.
Well, before they go up, we can only approve our end of things, but then it does require select board approval to be able to mount anything on the light posts.
Well, when would that be? I mean, when do you go to the select board, and where is the select board, and how do you do that? I don't, it's been a long time since we've done anything like this, so I don't recall what the, what the prescribed method is.
Sure, well, that's I would say bring that up with the town manager's office. I think they handle applications for the select board. That's not our area of expertise, unfortunately. But
Yeah, when I
just
spoke
letting
with
you
Erica
know that,
Mooney- Yeah, when I spoke with Erica Mooney, she told me to go through this process to bring this to you,
no,
which we have done in the past with the next sign that's going on the Boys and Girls Club. Every year we've applied for that. And this is how we've gone about doing it. So I'm not really sure what the select board, what the process is for that, because I'm not familiar with it. We haven't had to do that before.
okay, well, it would be required. I'm sorry that Erica, who is the person I think that you should talk to about that, maybe she didn't realize that that's required, but that it is a requirement of using the lamp posts. So you get our approval from the point of view of a sign being approvable, and then it's to be able to use the town's property, you need the select board's approval. And I don't know, what the process is there. I would assume it requires attending a meeting, but regarding these signs, I think I just cannot find a portion of the sign book, and I know that it exists where we talked about every 5 years being an allowable use for, and I'm
Well,
just
I
trying
have
to
that.
find that provision.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
have
have that?
on the computer. Yeah, I've got it somewhere in this. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I'm looking under temporary signs, which is section 4.15.
Okay, hang on a second here.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
could,
Kevin.
just to move things along. I clearly don't see how this is a milestone event for this organization. And because of that, I think it's that if they still want to pursue it, it would be incumbent upon them to go to the select board first. I think the select board review was intended to keep the commercialization off of Main Street. And I don't feel like we have enough information that would lead to an approval of this. So therefore, I would be prepared to make a motion to hold for further information until we know exactly what's approved and what our boundaries are.
Okay, understood. Does any other board member have a comment or want to make a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ben, are you in favor of that?
Yes, aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
I assume Kevin's in favor, making the, and Paul?
Aye.
Okay,
Kevin said aye.
so,
Aye.
thank you. Thanks. I would be in favor as well. So David, I sorry to put you through all of these paces here, but I think that the general consensus is that these lamppost signs are not particularly approvable as it doesn't
From you.
represent a
Yeah,
landmark event
yeah, I see this.
from us.
Yeah, I've got this up now from the site, the town site. It says Town of Nantucket Board of Selectmen, the policy for banners hung on light poles on Main Street. adopted April 15th, 2015. And it goes through and says what you can do and what you can't do, when they can go up, when they come down, who's allowed to do it and how often. And, those are the only specifics that they've got on there. They don't, as I said, say the number or where. It just says on Main
Yeah.
Street. So I'll go back to Erica Mooney and see what she says about it, because she was the one that sent me to you. She said, you fill out the
Okay.
application and send it to them. And, that's what we've done, as I say, with the sign that's coming up next on the agenda. We've done that now every year for 5 years, I think, the same sign.
Right, no, and we're familiar with that one. So thank you. This other is, just a more sensitive area that we're really cautious
Okay.
about approving.
Good. Yeah.
So let's move on. That application was acted on as a hold for further action based on the select board's approval. So the sign at 61 Sparks Ave is a temporary sign. As you mentioned, we have approved this in the past. Let's see, is there a close-up of the sign? Is it the same sign you've used? Exactly the same sign?
Well,
or
you've got
changed?
a diagram of the show right there that I drew.
Yeah.
Sign and the size of it.
Okay,
2 feet by 6 feet.
okay, great. I'll go around the board. Would you start? Ben, Paul, Kevin?
No concerns.
Paul?
I have no concerns, except hopefully this is the only sign. In the past, for activities at the Boys and Girls Club, and signs up and down Sparks Avenue on the fences, both across the street and in front of the parking lot. So I would expect that there's not going to be any more signage than this.
Understood.
Okay, thanks. Kevin?
Yes, I agree with what Paul has said. I've also seen other signs pop up at this event that haven't been approved. But as far as this one goes, it is consistent and it's approvable. Thank you.
Great. Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Kevin. Paul?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
And Ben?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Thanks, David. So good luck with
Okay,
the
thank
show,
you.
and we'll perhaps we'll see you at our next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Take care. Bye now.
The last application we have is for the Nantucket Garden Club. Debbie Thomas was the agent. Is there a representative? Is Debbie on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Can you tell us what you are proposing?
Yes, we have a house tour. It's our 67th annual house tour. This year it's on Orange Street. There are 9 houses along the street and 1 house on Martin's Lane. We are asking for permission to have the same signs we've always had. One is a banner, and that goes in a pot. I think you have a photograph of it. There you go. And that goes on private property. So each house would have one of those in front of it. And then there would be a couple of signs, I'm not sure how many, along the route along Orange Street, which would be this sign here, just pointing the direction of the tour. The signs go up, again, if they're approved, they go up at 10 o'clock in the morning and they're taken down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. These are the same signs we've used for many years, so there wouldn't be any changes to them.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with Paul and go Kevin, Ben.
You're muted, Paul.
Thank you. Sorry. My only question about the sign that's showing now for the house tour for directions, where do these signs go?
They're also in private property of along the route.
But what holds the sign up?
You can see if you look, if you could show that again, that photo again.
No, not that one. That
You
one.
can see here at the
Oh,
bottom,
okay.
you see those metal, it's kind of hard to see.
Oh, I see it. You stick it in the grass.
You stick it in the grass.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Ben? Did I
No
say your
concerns.
name? Kevin?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
make a motion to approve as submitted.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Need a second?
Second.
Thanks, Paul. Kevin, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Paul
Aye.
and Ben,
Aye.
thank you. Thanks, Debbie. Good luck with your event.
Thank you very much. Do I need anything from you guys, or is it just? I don't need.
No,
anything.
there is an approval that on your application that'll be stamped. I believe you could pick it up. Adrian, is that right? It's not, probably not necessary because it's gonna be up and down in a day, but there will be an
That's fine.
approval in the file.
Okay,
There will
great.
be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks.
Yep.
So Adrian, I'm assuming enforcement, were you given any information about that?
No, so Esmeralda did leave me a little note. She said she'll be
Okay.
updating you all on enforcement later today.
Okay, we'll look for an email. Do we have any other business that anyone wants to discuss?
I mean, just on enforcement, there's a lot of junk out there. I don't know, I'm guilty of not taking any pictures and sending it to anybody. Do you send it to Billy? Is Billy the man? Do we send it to, or Esmeralda, or does it not matter who we send it to?
Where I come from, so, or like that, so
I
now.
believe it's Esmeralda, Adrian.
Very good, right?
Yes, those, they actually do come into both Esmeralda and Billy's side.
Like,
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
this-
Like the what's it called? The Diamond Door of Nantucket over there by the hub. Looks horrible. Horrible. Like plastic junk everywhere. So there's some issues around town, I'll tell you that much.
And I did communicate with Ray Pohl, expressed our concern about the enforcement being handed off. And he was addressing that with Plus. I don't know if we'll have an update from Esmeralda about that, but the fact that he was unaware that enforcement was not being handled by Plus staff, and inquired as to why and what could be done about it. So, the fact that the police are being used as the only enforcement agent was a surprise to him. Just FYI to everybody. So hopefully that'll net us something before September rolls around, because there is plenty of stuff to address. Yes, Kevin.
Yeah, would it be correct to assume that in this update we're going to get from Esmeralda that we're going to have a spreadsheet of what is actually being enforced? I've asked for it over a month ago. I know Paul asked for it 2 weeks ago. I'm hoping that maybe you could pass the word on to Esmeralda, and Billy, that's what we've asked for, so we're not duplicating, sending in new things that are already on the list.
Mr. Chair,
Thanks, Kevin.
through you,
Yes.
Chris, I can do that.
You're
I can make
early.
sure that's the information that's being followed up on for you folks.
Thank you.
Both the-
Thank you.
Any
Yeah,
violations and plus the enforcements that are happening as well.
thank you. Yeah, if you would, you can express that as the chair requesting it this time. So now we got 3 different requests coming to her. Appreciate you passing that along. Any other comments? And I think that Ben, to your point, we should all send in anything that is brought to our attention. I've had some members of the public also ask about various signs, and I encourage them to send any information in that they want to the office.
Chris, I just have
Yeah,
a little
Kevin.
bit of follow-up to the Main Street lamp post signs. I think we should keep an eye on it, because if it truly is as subjective as every 5 years, we have hundreds of nonprofit organizations that could be running up any kind of event every week. And I think I clearly remember that this was brought forth by Rhoda Weinman to bring a special event that I think at the time was a 20-year anniversary or something. So I think think that if the regulations are a little loose and unclear, we should probably take a look at making them more understandable. That's all.
I agree. I think that Adrian, if you would ask Esmeralda to email to us any information that the office has. I'm looking on the town's website and I'm not finding a specific link to the light post sign regulations. And I do recall that there were more specific regulations than what the sign book has written under temporary signs. So if she could helping or being given to the public, that would be helpful so we can address it if necessary.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair. We'll do that.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Adrian?
Yeah, yes, it does, Mr. Chair. Oh, I think we might have lost Chris. There he is.
Did we lose Chris?
Do we have a motion from anybody? I think I'm back.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Second,
Can you hear me?
I'll
All
say
right, thanks,
aye.
Ken. We have a second. Thanks, Ben.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Aye.
Kevin, Paul.
aye.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see you next time, guys.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good day, gentlemen.
Yeah, so that's a typo.